Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for a movie review, Father's Day movie month, continuing on. Like I said, I'll still be doing like some X-Men movie reviews, but I'm gonna put that off for a little bit while I cover my Father's Day movie month, which gonna be covering, of course. Last week I covered Die Hard with a Vengeance, which you can check out my thoughts on that movie on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. But for the rest of this month, in terms of movies, aside from Across the Spider-Verse, Beast Wars movie, which I'll cover tomorrow, Flash movie, and yeah, and then like ending with Indiana Jones 5. I'm covering all the other Indiana Jones movies all at the same time. So if you haven't already, please like, subscribe to this channel. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Follow me on my Twitch channel. It's www.twitch.tv/talkativecarl. Check out my Patreon. If you aren't a Patreon member, you can sign up for my Patreon if you have certain suggestions of certain reviews that you want me to cover via movie, comic, TV show, or just a general topic. Go to my Patreon, patreon.com/talkativecarl. Follow me on my Twitter @talkativecarl. All the links are in the description below, including Odyssey and Instagram. But also next month I will be doing a Hot Ones challenge video, so I'm collecting questions. So if you haven't sent any questions yet, you can do so through my Twitter or leaving in the comments of my YouTube channel to send me some questions that you want to ask. Anywho, Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. Honestly, as I think Harrison Ford is probably my father's favorite actor, but he loved the Indiana Jones films. A little side story, because I will cover it, because my personal favorite Indiana Jones is The Last Crusade, but it's because of that film, because Indiana Jones is a junior to his father. My father named me after him because he didn't name me Indiana, but Indiana Jones is Henry Jones Jr. So I am Carl Jr. myself. And I know I heard all the jokes, Carl's Jr. Yeah, I heard all the jokes. But yeah, this is a fantastic. And I didn't even realize, because I covered one of my Christmas reviews was Scrooged, one of my favorite interpretations of the Christmas Carol story. Karen Allen is the lead female role in that, and she was basically, or is considered, like the primary love interest of Indiana Jones. Didn't even realize that this was the same person. I can't believe it kind of never really dawned on me until sometime later. And speaking of Scrooge, I don't know if you've been watching the news, but can you believe Bill Murray is supposedly in a relationship with the musical artist Khalees? That is the most random out of the random pairing couples I ever seen. That's like finding out Ariana Grande is dating Jackie Chan. That was, you just randomly pulling names. It's like God put names out of hats and like you two be together. It's like so bizarre, and nobody's hating on it. They just find it very weird. Of course, like they're primarily pretty private people, but it's just like, how in the world these two even meet? It's like, but Murray never come across as like a, I'm pretty sure he enjoyed his fair bit of rap and R&B here and there, but it's probably not his primary musical love. Yeah, this I like, you know, rap and R&B, but there's some maybe like rock ballads here and there that I thoroughly enjoy, but it's not my primary source of favorite musical genres. So that's why it's so bizarre. But anyway, enough with that tangent. We're talking about Indiana Jones here. So Harrison Ford, of course, next to Han Solo, honestly, his greatest role in movie history, Indiana Jones, an archaeology professor and adventurer. Now, you can easily look it up because many archaeologists bring up that a lot of them got into their field because they watched Indiana Jones. Just like Sam Neill's character, people got involved in paleontology because they watched his character in the first Jurassic Park film. It made that stuff look extremely cool. And honestly, I understand because especially many little boys, especially I'm pretty sure the girls too, but many boys watch Indiana Jones and want to be on an adventure fighting Nazis and kicking ass, and you know, it belongs in the museum. And it's like, you know, yeah, cool. Everybody loves it. I will get to Crystal Skull. Only seen it twice in my entire lifetime. And maybe once I look back on it for the review, might have some probably difference of opinion here and there. But we'll get into that. But anyway, honestly, there's many archaeologists have to point out, despite their love for Indiana Jones films and the character, there are some stuff that are clearly that he does is extremely illegal. Because we cannot forget about the colonization of certain countries like the UK and the US when they, you know, I want to say pillage, but it didn't have like the right, you know, most of them didn't have like the right papers to just go to another country and do archaeological digs or go into certain caves or tombs or whatever, take an idol and bring it into like the English or American museums. There's just kind of disproving that, you know, what he did is not exactly kosher. There are proper paperwork that archaeologists have to get through certain bureaucracies depending on the country that they're going to be digging in. They have to make sure, like, you know, like let's say they gotta do a dig in Peru, they gotta go to the Peruvian government, make sure they talk with the local officials, especially the local tribesmen that might be around. Let them know what they're gonna be doing, and like, you know, it's on the up and up and everything like that. And wherever they find, they bring their findings to that particular government, because it's, you know, especially after Black Panther, the first movie, there's been videos talking about, you know, like, you know, a lot of English and American museums trying to set things right because, you know, certain items that they have in their possession were given to them by more than likely ill-gotten ways way back when, and was like, you know, people back then didn't care about the places they were looting and the people that they're taking from. So they've been given a lot of stuff back to their country of origin for their museums. So, you know, like colonization really, you know, did a number on a lot of countries, you know, especially like, you know, Native Americans and Black people. And of course, like Hispanic cultures, many Hispanic cultures. And of course, we got to bring up the elephant in the room about the love interest played by Karen Allen, Marion Ravenwood, who in this first movie, because because I don't think how many really, people at a certain point. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's kind of like, this is directed by Steven Spielberg. Okay, so like, I'm not sure he really kind of paid attention what he was writing down in a writer's room or going across storyboards, that this woman, when she first met Indiana, she was 15 when he met him, and he was definitely, let's say he's like mid to late 30s now, in the 1930s. It was like, what would be the movie starting in like 1936? Let's say he's like, 36 here, and she would be she met him when she was 15, and she probably would be 25 at this point, or a little above 25. She would have been officially a minor at that time while these two were fooling around, and it's statutory rape. So it's like, yeah, Indiana Jones will really delve into it. Isn't that, I won't say he's not a good guy, but he did some illegal stuff that we kind of gloss over because of the adventureness of it, and kind of like young man fantasy. But yeah, I gotta bring that up because it was, I'm gonna make sure like I have to address that kind of fact. But anyway, we also have Paul Freeman as Renee Belloc, a rival archaeologist to Jones, and under the employ of the Access Power. One second. Get flashing on this doggone phone. Sorry, like something fell. Ronald Lacey, Major Arnold Toit, Gestapo agent. We got John Rhys DeVos as Salah, an Egyptian excavator and old acquaintance of Jones. Dumbholm Elliott as Marcus Brody, a museum curator and Jones' loyal friend. Now, I want to bring up about Salah because the actor, of course, this movie came out in 1981, so they wasn't really like culturally aware, let's just say, of like the importance of representation. But the actor is a Welsh man who's playing an Egyptian man. As also want to bring out the fact that we also have like a short little extra that of the name of Alfred Molina, him as Doc Ock, who plays a guide in the beginning of this film for Jones, and he's playing an ethnic man himself, and he's a white man. And of course, yes, looking back on it, that's like, okay, for lack of a better word, it's culturally insensitive. Let's call it a spade, or no pun intended. But of course, it wouldn't play nowadays, or even like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But yeah, it's like, ooh, God, that is like not cool, kind of situation. Now, of course, when I saw the trailer of Indiana Jones 5, I'm like, bruh, it's like, you got this guy playing this role again, even though he's clearly not Egyptian. And it's like, because I seen him in the trailer, I was like, geez, God, they let that fly still? I know, you can't say no to Steven Spielberg because he's that high profile dude, but still, it's like, y'all know better now. And it's like, not that you need to kill him off or anything like that, but just allude to him or something, because now it's gonna be something that people are probably gonna be talking about more than likely, you know how like these like extreme leftists will act like should have got like replaced Charlotte with an actual Egyptian, blah 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 blah. It's like ugh. But anyway, Jones, you know, there are going to be some accurate, then also non-accurate, you know, things that Indiana Jones does that isn't what a typical archaeologist would do. As he beginning to walk into this cave to get the, you know, the classic scene, him getting the idol and switching out with like a sandbag, and the whole boulder situation, of course. But along the way, you know, other archaeologists pointed out that he should be documenting the cave structure outside the cave. You know, drawing or capturing pictures or something. There's been times when he doesn't do that here throughout this adventure, but every once in a while he does document, you know, and of course he goes past all these booby traps. Before we get to the booby traps, Indiana Jones is well known of having a fear of snakes, and his father will have a very known fear of rats, and I have a fear of freaking spiders. And you see, you know, him and Alfred Molina's walking through the cave to get to their point of interest. Their backs are like covered in spiders, and it's like you just like casually flick them off. And sure, I think that's the right move so you won't get bitten. But it's like, God, I'll be freaking out. I do not like those. I really don't. But he avoids all these traps, and archaeologists point out, and I figure it would be behoove me if I don't point it out, that, you know, if you go through a dig site or you're going through a, you know, some kind of archaeological dig and you happen upon a cave, the likelihood of finding an operational booby trap is slim to very none. Even if somehow, some way, structure still housed a functional booby trap, the last thing archaeologists want to do is set those things off. They wanted to probably document it, see how it still functions after all these years or something like that. Of course, and he just sets them all off so he can bypass them so he can get to the idol. Of course, it sets it off. He runs away from the thing. Alfred Molina tries to betray him. He messes up, slips to a boot track, gets impaled by some spikes, and Indy manages to get the idol and slip out, only to be met up with the rival archaeologist Belloc, who convinces like the local tribe to like thinking like, oh, he's the bad guy. He's like, you know, stealing your treasure. And of course, since Indy doesn't speak the native tongue, that's why it's always important to establish trust and camaraderie with the local tribe, if there is any around, so you can avoid this kind of mess. So Indy managed to escape on a seaplane back to the States. And of course he teaches, and of course the female students are so enthralled with him. And of course, many people from what I heard did have like a thing for Harrison Ford in his younger years. I guess another thing, he's ugly, but they are, you know, swear on the Bible like he was like the most handsome dude in the 80s. It was like him and like, you know, Burt Reynolds, you know, those kind of like, you know, like strikingly handsome dudes back then. So Marcus and Indy get met up by some like army intelligence guys who instruct them and informs them about Hitler's obsession with the occult and sending out paid archaeologists to search for mystical items. And it turns out he's looking for, as they gone through the debriefing, like the famous Ark of the Covenant that housed the 10 Commandments, carried by Moses. And I want to bring up that the archaeologists pointed out, who talk about this movie, that several years ago, almost 10 years ago, let's just say, that technically the Ark of the Covenant was found, ironically, by German archaeologists, and right now it's in Ethiopia, I believe it's Ethiopia, in this kind of temple being guarded by this guardian, who's the only person who's allowed to lay eyes on the Ark. So nobody knows whether or not the Ark is actually inside. Is just understood that it's inside. You just don't, nobody can just go in there and see. So yeah, like the Ark of the Covenant, technically you can say is already found and is being kept not technically hidden away. We know the location, but nobody can ever lay eyes on it. Is very the most beloved artifact in history. So you can't have the strangers breathe on this doggone thing, obviously, go around touching it. Or when I went to Cancun, Mexico, and we couldn't even go to inside the temples. Why? Because over the years, people have just been stealing pieces of the part of the temple of rocks to take back home with them. So they kind of years ago nipped that in the bud, whereas like nobody is allowed to walk into the temples no more. And it's like, God, people suck sometimes. So of course you can't have that happen to one of the most historical artifacts in history, where people taking chunks of the 10 Commandment slabs back home with them. It's like, no, can't have that. So understandably, nobody can just go in there. So anyway, they have Indy to go find the Ark first before Hitler's men do. So he comes to try to find his old mentor Ravenwood, who was more of an authority on this than he was, but he messed up with his daughter, who tells him that, hey, my father died and everything like that. I cannot stand you, but clearly there's still love there. And that's when Tolt and his men come in, try to get answers from Marion. Of course, Indiana comes in and to say the day. Now, just like with Bruce Willis as John McClane, Indiana fights scrappy. He isn't like an expert martial artist or anything like that. He's like, kind of like your dad if he's getting into a fight. Like, he's a scrapper. He fights dirty. So it's appreciative when you have like this, just like an, it's still a cool fight, but isn't it like a fight with extra expert fighters or anything like that? So they managed to get the medallion that Miriam only has that helps to find the location of the Ark. And of course, Tolt tried to grab it, but it fell into a fire that burns his hand. But the Germans used that to still make up their own little medallion, like a facsimile, to try to find the location. But it's crude, and they end up digging in the wrong site. So Jones and Marion go to Cairo to speak with Shala to try to help with the investigation. Along the way, more German soldiers try to kidnap them, or at least take them out. But it goes into a fight. Marion tries to hide, and she hides in a basket and gets switched out, thinking it's like a, we'll get to it. There's a moment where Jones, of course, this classic fight where this, Egyptian man who is working under the German people tries to think gonna have an epic sword fight with Indiana, and Indiana, of course, very slick and it's funny to this day. We just pulls out his gun, it's like, bam, and then moves out. And of course, little do you might not know, behind the scenes, why that even happened is because it's because Harrison Ford had some kind of like stomach bug or something like that, and he really needed to go to the bathroom and he just wanted to get the scene over with, so he did that. They kept it in, so happy stands. So he tries to find Marion, thinking that she's in one basket in this truck, end up getting blown up, thinking she's dead, but of course they switched out the basket, so they held her captive. But he ends up, thanks to Sallah, finding out where they're digging at. Him and Shala goes to the dig site in disguise, and they go find the proper temple. Not before he finds out that Marion is like alive and well, but being held captured. But he didn't want to cut her loose yet until he finds the right spot, because if they find her missing, then everybody's on high alert, and they need to make sure that they find what they find before they get all out of here. So he goes inside the spot, and you see him use the medallion on this. It turns into like a staff of Ra, and the light had to shine in a perfect spot to point where the to the Well of Souls, where the use the Well of Souls to find out where the location is at. And of course, him and Shala finds the Ark, and of course, when everybody realizes Indiana is down there, they try to leave him down there with a bunch of snakes, and then of course Marion tries to sneak away, trying to get Belloq drunk and stuff like that, but it doesn't work. She gets tossed in with him, but they manage to, thanks to Indiana using his quick thinking, knocks down one of the statues. I know it's an archaeological find still, but desperate times, it's like, okay, I want to get out. I don't want to be buried alive, so one of these things got to get crushed. And if it helps me escape, then que sera, sera. So he knocks down one of the pillars to open up a hollow doorway that leads to another chamber that coincidentally leads to a loose, like a lot of these things were probably like limestone or something like that. And he pushes out so he can escape. Another cool fight happens when they try to hijack a plane, but this big dude trying to do like the put him up kind of situation. And of course, Indiana still getting his butt kicked, but he's holding his own. And then thanks to Marion kind of fool around with the controls, the planes turn around and the blade comes around and kills the big dude. They escape, and they, thanks to Shala, get him on this boat of a friend he knows, and trying to get back to the States. But the Germans track them down on their U-boat, take Marion and the Ark, but Indy manages to slip away, sneak on board in disguise, and follows them, takes an RPG and threatens to blow up the Ark. But Belloq knows Indy enough to know, like, hey, uh, yeah, sure, go ahead, do it, but you will be destroying the most beloved archaeological finds in history. If you want to do it, go ahead. I won't stop you. But Indy, of course, doesn't do it because he A is a biggest historical find ever, and B, he wants to know if it does what it does because it's supposed to contain this so-called power. He gets captured, ties up with Marion against the pole while the Germans are trying to see if it actually does what it does. Because as Belloc points out to German's soldier, like, do you want to take this all the way down to your Führer and have it do nothing? It doesn't work. Like, I don't think you want to make that trip and have it be for naught. So they open it up, and it's seemingly nothing inside but sand. Indy tells Marion to keep the eyes closed for a while. Then this phantom comes out of the ark, kills everybody. The three primary evil dudes' face, and somehow they just wipe their bodies clean from the ground for some reason. And then the spirit returns back to the ark. So they manage to radio for help, and they get the ark to the States. And the Army intelligence guys say, like, okay, we're making sure you got your cut from, maybe they paid handsomely for the hard work and their duty to the country, but they're not allowed to study it, which gets under their skin, him and Marcus's skin more than anything, because this has to be studied. And they're like, no, you're not going to do that. And of course they'll be left with their tails between their legs. But Marion decides, it's like, hey, as long as the Germans don't have their hands on it, call that a win. And of course, you get the classic scene where every scene in this movie is classic. You get, the ark sealed up in a crate, put in this big, massive warehouse to be just stored away. And it's like, why would you not, see it be studied? You just put it in like your storage unit, like it's your a old furniture or something. But that is Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like I said, it's a very long movie, so it can't go over every little thing, but it's pretty widely seen. One of the most widely seen films of all time. Highly recommend it. All the Indiana Jones films are on Disney Plus, so you can check it out. But yeah, it's still a fun movie. And of course, I'll be going to Temple of Doom, and ironically, Spielberg mentioned how Temple of Doom is the least favorite Indiana Jones film, despite him making it. But yeah, I mean, it's still good, but it's isn't not anybody's top favorite. But I think people like it more so than Crystal Skull. But yeah, but we'll get to, because it's been a long time since I've seen Temple of Doom. It's I rarely go to Temple of Doom like that. But for the sake of the Indiana Jones films, I want to revisit it again for this. But anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of the Indiana Jones film as a whole. Are you excited for the new one? Because I'm going to take, me and my brother's going to take our father to see Indiana Jones because it's one of his favorite films. And yeah, and he just likes Harrison Ford. So I want to make sure we treat him out to a nice, movie to see Indiana Jones. We'll see it all together. Like we have when we was little kids, we've seen all the Indiana Jones together. So anyway, I will see you all tomorrow for comic book review of Marvel's Cable, as well as my movie review of the Transformers Beast Wars film. So look forward to that. And I'll see you all soon. Take care.